Welcome to the Business English Podcast, the best place for non native professionals to learn how to communicate clearly and confidently. My name is Tanya Suarez, and in each episode, you're going to learn specific skills to develop your corporate communication, American pronunciation, and career strategy in order to build the life you deserve. Let's jump right in to part one. We all know that effective communication is essential in the workplace, and for leadership development, a skill that is extremely valuable is diplomatic communication. Diplomatic communication refers to the use of tactful and strategic language and behavior in order to effectively convey messages, build business relationships, and potentially resolve conflicts between individuals or groups. Often, this is referred to in a political or business context, such as in international or multinational companies. It involves being mindful of cultural differences, understanding the sensitivities and perspectives of different parties, and seeking to find common ground and mutual understanding. Now, for non native speakers who are in leadership positions, diplomatic communication can be particularly challenging because you're not only trying to find the most effective message, you're also trying to find the right words and grammar structure in English first. One of the best things you can do for yourself and your leadership development is to improve your approach, the foundation that you use to build your communication skills. So, for diplomatic communication, I'm going to give you a few tips that will help you do just that. The first tip is to focus on the other person's perspective. In the context of diplomatic communication in business, it's essential to keep in mind that the people you're communicating with may have different cultural backgrounds, beliefs, and expectations. So, by focusing on the other person's perspective, you can better understand their communication style, their motivation, and their priorities. This will all help you build stronger relationships, which ultimately help you achieve your objectives. So, before starting any conversation, it's important to take a moment to consider the other person's perspective. Think about their goals, their challenges, and preferences, and consider how you can tailor your message to resonate with them. This could involve using language and tone that they're comfortable with, highlighting how your message can help them achieve their goals, or framing your message in a way that aligns with their values or interests. By taking the time to consider the other person's perspective, you're showing that you respect their point of view and are committed to building a productive relationship. This can help you establish trust and rapport, which are essential components of successful diplomatic communication in business. So always remember to put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to understand things from their perspective before engaging in any conversation or negotiation. So, this is probably my favorite tip for you, and it's practice active listening. So, effective communication is a two-way street, and active listening is an essential part of this. This means being fully present during the conversation, paying close attention to what the other person is saying, and demonstrating that you are engaged and interested in what is being discussed. Now, I will go on a little caveat here. It's really important to know that nodding your head, that's a great way of showing that you're listening, and saying, those sounds. However, a lot of people that I've coached, especially from, I find that particular regions in the world, so observe your own behavior, you might tend to say, too much. So there is a balance to make this effective for your communication. So in order to show that you're actually listening in a respectful and productive way, you have to wait until the person is finished speaking or at least in between sentences. So what I find is sometimes people will say, mm-hmm, too much. And so if you say it while the other person's speaking and you're doing it too much, it's actually going to hurt your communication because they're going to perceive that you're rushing them or that you're not interested in what they're saying. So the balance is nod your head while they're speaking. When they're taking their breath, when they're in between sentences, or when they finish speaking, then you can say, and it's very, very helpful. So, back to the original point, active listening is critical for non native speakers to ensure that you're understanding information accurately and responding to said information appropriately. So, this is why I love this tip for you, because you have to, when you're listening actively, you have to try not to worry and plan what you want to say next so you can fully focus on what the other person is saying. As a non native speaker, no matter how advanced you are, you might still be holding on to habits from when your English was not as good as it is now, or maybe you're still feeling a little insecure. So you might listen, but you're half listening and you're half prepping. You're preparing what you want to say next. You're thinking about the word choice. And so what that does is it takes you out of the moment. You're missing key opportunities of understanding and comprehension of what they actually want. And your face probably looks a little bit distracted because no matter how great of an actor you might be, your face might give away that you're thinking. And so it might be perceived as, again, you might look too serious or you might look confused, and it's not going to help your communication. Trust yourself. Trust that you can take a breath and you can formulate the idea that you want and you can speak clearly when it's your turn. I'm telling you, active listening is going to improve your structure. It's going to improve your response. You just have to give it a chance. Also, summarize your understanding of what has been said to ensure that they have correctly interpreted the information. Don't think about this as I can't summarize what they're saying. I can't repeat what they're saying because they're going to think my English is not strong enough. No, this is business. Clarity is key. So just do it in a way that's confident and it's actually going to show that you pay attention. Don't be afraid to ask questions to clarify any points that you may have not fully understood. Maybe it was certain words that you didn't understand. Maybe it was the way they explained themselves. Don't worry so much about your level of communication, specifically your level of English being judged. Remember, the goal is to move forward. It's to achieve the goals. It's to make the sale. So that's what's really important. And asking for clarification will only help. And also, it not only shows that you're engaged in the conversation, it also helps avoid misunderstandings that could lead to a breakdown in communication or in the deal. Additionally, make a conscious effort to eliminate any external distractions during the conversation. Yes, yes, yes. I want you, regardless of the hierarchy, regardless of whether you're the leader or where you are in terms of the leadership position, set the standard for respect and engagement. So this means silencing and putting away your phone and avoiding any other interruptions that might disrupt the flow of the conversation. Even if the other person is on their phone and if they're your boss or your manager, for example, you're not in a position to tell them not to. But if you're the one in the leadership position, this is great. You show by example what respectful communication looks like. And if they take out their phone or if their phone rings, you can, with less hypocrisy, you can confidently tell them, hey, would you mind putting that on silent during our meeting? And this leads to just a very high level of respect. And it also makes the communication better because there are less interruptions and distractions. So by doing this, you show respect to the person that you're speaking with. You show respect for the time, and you signal that you are fully invested in the conversation. Another great tip is choose your words carefully. Choosing your words carefully is crucial, especially when communicating with people from different cultural backgrounds. And for you, you having a different cultural background. So it's important to keep in mind that words and phrases can have different meanings and connotations depending on the cultural context. And what may be considered appropriate or polite in one culture may not be in another. For example, in some cultures, and this might be yours, being direct and assertive is valued, while in others, being indirect and diplomatic is preferred. So it's essential to understand the communication norms of the culture you're interacting with and adjust your language and tone accordingly. When communicating with other non native speakers, it's also important to avoid using idioms or jargon that may not be familiar to them. And as a non native speaker yourself, don't use these high risk situations to test out your mastery of American idioms and expressions. This is not the moment. Use other situations that are lower risk to try out new phrases or expressions that you're learning. But when there's pressure or when there's more on the line, use simple language that you're comfortable with so that you can be confident. So, use simple and clear language to ensure that your message is easily understood. By choosing your words carefully, you can avoid misunderstandings or misinterpretations, which can lead to conflicts or damaged relationships. Also, to be a more effective leader and communicator, it's important to not only focus on what you say, but how you say it and how it's received by others. Remember, tone is just as important and impactful as word choice. Be aware of your body language. So, this tip is awesome because it's important for you as a non native speaker to know that it's not all about your English. It's not all about your language. Sometimes your nonverbal communication is actually going to help you a lot with clarity and with communication. So, nonverbal communication is a vital aspect of interpersonal communication, and it is often more important than verbal communication. So, make sure that your body language and facial expressions align with the message you are trying to convey because they have a significant impact on how your message is received and whether you are believed and trusted. So many professionals that I coach are making very serious, and this could be you too. I would recommend recording yourself or observe yourself in a mirror because when you're trying to be friendly or you're trying to sound confident, you're so focused on the English and on being correct that your face looks really serious or really confused and thoughtful, which in you for you, you know that you're thinking about the language. But how that is perceived is you being doubtful, not of your English, but they're going to think that you're being doubtful of your knowledge, of your expertise, or whatever the topic of conversation is. So relax your face and help it help you. For example, another example of nonverbal communication is eye contact. So in the US, maintaining good eye contact is a sign of paying attention. However, something interesting to consider is it is important to remember that in some cultures, direct eye contact is not customary, especially when speaking to a superior. So if the person you're speaking with does not look at you directly, don't take it personally immediately. Consider their background. Another critical aspect of body language is posture. For example, avoid crossing your arms or legs as it can signal defensiveness or disinterest. Instead, try to adopt an open posture that signals your willingness to engage and listen. And look, if you cross your legs or cross your arms every now and then, that's not a big deal. But when you're stuck in that position, that's when it can look uncomfortable or like you lack confidence or trust in the other person. So, something I recommend if you're standing, don't stand with your legs completely together. Maybe spread them a little bit and you want to relax your arms. I would say try to touch your fingertips and put that around your waist level. This is a more relaxed position, but you still get that safety of knowing what to do with your hands. Be solution focused. So, this tip is awesome because it gives you a process for clarity to understand what information to share. So, from a language perspective, we're going to create the formula for you to know what is valuable and what actually hurts your communication. So, when faced with a problem or challenge, I want you to avoid dwelling on what has gone wrong. Focusing too much on why things went wrong, this is a tricky balance because it can come across as petty and turn into the blame game. So, as an effective leader, an effective communicator, you want to focus on the bottom line. What is the problem and what you propose to fix it? I understand that from a cultural perspective, if you come from a culture that tends to explain more, or I like to say, take you through the scenic route before getting to the destination, this is something you really want to be mindful with when it comes to business communication. When you're describing why things went wrong, in your mind, you might be giving context. But if you don't do this concisely, which is why I recommend skip it all together and go straight to the problem and solution, because if you focus on why things are going wrong and who did what and what are the different factors, it becomes very lengthy and it ends up usually making you look bad instead of what you think you're doing, which is being thorough. So, this is going to really help you with your business communication. Another thing is, I want you to have an open mind and a willingness to listen to others' ideas and suggestions. Breathe. Other people's feedback and suggestions, it's not an attack. So when you can confidently listen to other people's ideas, it really makes you more collaborative. It creates safe spaces for people to participate, which as a leader is going to really help you later on with the team culture. So be open to this feedback and willing to consider alternative perspectives in order to find the best solution to a problem. Doesn't mean you have to do what everybody is suggesting, especially if you're in the leadership position and you know what the next step should be, but considering it, just taking it in respectfully is going to make the solution feel more collaborative. So, this requires a proactive and solution focused approach to communication, where the emphasis is on finding solutions rather than blaming or criticizing others, which is what makes this a more diplomatic option. Okay, so by applying these tips, you can develop diplomatic communication that will help you build trust, strengthen your leadership skills, and achieve greater success in your career. For more business English resources like articles, videos, courses, and one-to-one coaching with me, head over to tanyasuarez.com.